Colonel Bob Stewart, you are educated at an independent school. You then train at the Royal Military Academy at Sandhurst. Very traditional Conservative background. Were you born into the Conservative Party or did you choose it?
Well, I didn't really vote Conservative until I was over 18. But the answer to the question is, were my parents Conservatives? The answer is yes. So I suppose in that way, I was born into a Conservative kind of background.
You've always voted Conservative?
When I voted in the army, often I was abroad and I didn't really get round to it. But the answer is, when I voted, yes.
You were commanding officer for a period in Northern Ireland and also in Bosnia. What is your most memorable experience from commanding our troops, first of all in Northern Ireland?
Well, I wasn't commanding officer when the Ballykelly bomb went off on the 6th of December 1982, but it was the most traumatic experience of my life when I was 32 years old, and 17 people were killed. 6 of them were my soldiers, 35 of my company of 120 were wounded, and I was the incident commander, and a girl died in my arms. She was 18 and she'd lost both legs and an arm. And I spoke to her when I found her, because I was there very quickly. When I found her on the ground, she was bleeding excessively. Her boyfriend had run off. And I spoke to her and I said something trite like, "Are you all right, darling?" I was 32. I discovered she was 18. She said, "I think so." And I spoke to her and I said, "Are you all right again?" She said, "What's happened?" I said, "There's been a bomb." She said, "Oh, am I hurt?" And I said, "You are a bit." She said, "Am I badly hurt?" And I said, "Yes." She said, "Am I going to die?" And I said, "I think so." She said, "Will you hold me?" And I held her as she died. So I can't think of anything more traumatic than that in my life, than that actual incident. But there were others, not far off that.
How do you deal with a trauma like that? What are the after effects of that? Do you have flashbacks for a period of time? Do you still have flashbacks now about that?
My mother was a northern girl, which you might understand, and she said I'd never die with water on the brain. What she meant was I blub. And I think weeping is something that releases pressure. And after that girl died, I was impossible for about 10, 15 minutes because I was crying. But then I was the incident commander, so I had to pull myself together because it wasn't just her, it was a huge number of other people that were hurt. But what really impacted me was the youth of this girl that had died, and I'd been there. So the answer is, I don't get flashbacks. I don't not sleep because of it, but I remember all the time, all the time.
It's interesting that you talk about you cried, which is a understandable, normal reaction. Are there lots of tears at your level or at any level?
Oh, well, of course there are. It's hidden. Part of the, my generation, because I am a generation least above you.
At least.
We didn't show emotion much. My father did not show emotion much. But my father was a soldier, had a military cross, 2 mentions in dispatches, and lost a lot of men in Aden, actually in the 50s. My mother told me that he used to cry at night. This may well be what they now call post-traumatic stress disorder. It may well not be. Do I cry? I still cry when I think of things, but I try and hide it because I don't think it's appropriate.
Thank you. I didn't expect you to be so open. We were on the same corridor and
we had fun, didn't we?
We were MPs, we were elected at the same time. And I don't think many people would expect you to be open about your own emotions and feelings, and I think that's really helpful. So thank you. Your most memorable moment from commanding our troops in Bosnia?
Coming out of Bosnia and looking across the plains and seeing all my armoured vehicles spread out in lines and there were something like 150 of them across a plain, and I just thought, life can't get better than this, being in charge of an armoured infantry regiment, moving out, having achieved what we did. We went to Bosnia in 1992. People said thousands of people would die. Some did, but we saved a lot of people. For example, in April 1993, we pulled out about 2,000 women and boys and some old men from Srebrenica, which was some years before the massacre that occurred in July 1995. And we got them out of Srebrenica, and we took some casualties going in to get them out. No one died on our part, although when we went into Srebrenica, about 20 civilians were killed around us as we went in from shell fire.
In all your time serving our country, have you feared for your own life?
Well, to be honest, at one stage I didn't care, because I just felt that I was there to do the right. Before I went to Bosnia, I spoke to my mother, who was not doolally then. Towards the end of her life, she'd describe herself as being a bit doolally. And I said to my mum, I'm not sure I can take the casualties that I'm anticipated to take in Bosnia, which is about 25% of my men. Out of 900, that's a lot. I said I'd lost so many men 10 years before, and my mother told me to get a grip. You know, remember your father, of course you can. Sort yourself out. You can do this job properly. Do not show any weakness on it. Go in there and do what the hell you can. And from that, I decided that I would actually be up front, in front, and actually, I wasn't given a mission for 2-3 months, but I decided my mission was to stop people dying, to save lives. And that is what we try to do. And if you have to save lives by taking lives, then sometimes you have to do that. And we did that too.
Were you prepared to sacrifice your own life?
Well, I
Do you
don't
think of that?
You know, well, of course you did, because soldiers were shot beside me, and I lost my escort driver, Lance Corporal Wayne Edwards. He was killed, shot through the head. Actually not at the time when I was with her, but Dobrila Kalaba, my wonderful 29-year-old interpreter, was deliberately targeted because I'd taken her to the massacre of Armici site, and she'd been on the television, and therefore she became a target, and a Bosnian Croat sniper killed her on the 5th of July 1993 by shooting her. So the answer is, you always think that it might happen, but you know, being a soldier, you have two thoughts. One, it might not happen to me. And two, the soldier's prayer. If it does, let it be a headshot. In other words, quick.
You retire from the army in 1996. Why?
The army told me that my probably career was over. That the military secretary said, you've offended people and up at the top by some of the actions you've taken in Bosnia, and actually, you know, as well as that, I was getting divorced. Divorce was not a good thing in the army. So those two, you know, Blind Pew tapped his way down to the Admiral Benbow in Treasure Island terms. He had two black spots. One, I was getting divorced, and two, actually, I'd offended enough senior officers to stop me going further. So I thought, do I want to stay in the army, stay at the same level I am, and end up commanding some sort of lonely range in the Outer Hebrides at the age of 55? And I thought, no, I don't want to do that. Get out while I really am on top of the game, enjoying the army. I don't want to be bitter about it, and I'm not bitter about it.
In you work in public affairs, which I was surprised to read about you,
Yeah.
but more...
The only job I could get. You know, I tried very hard to get jobs. Everyone said I'd get a job easily, you know, with my high profile. That's not true at all. You know, I did actually have quite a good degree. Yes. And you know, I had written a lot. But I was quite surprised that it took me, a great deal of effort to try and get a job. And the only job that I got offered was in public affairs.
Gosh, that's extraordinary.
It's a fact.
What would you have liked to have done when you left the army?
I did consider teaching, actually.
Right.
I thought teaching would be a good thing to do because I got a degree. But in order to be a teacher, I had to do a year's PGCE or
That's
something.
right.
I had a family and I couldn't actually just take a year off to do it. So I had to have a salary.
In 2010, you meet me. You are elected to Parliament.
And we had fun on that corridor, didn't we?
We did. Not too much fun, let's just make that clear. In 2010, you become the MP for Beckenham. Why?
Well, to be honest, I was actually toying with the idea of becoming a member of Parliament for a long time. But it was, two friends of mine who convinced me to do it. Sir Geoffrey Patty, who was a vice chairman of the Conservative Party, and Caroline Flynn, who they worked together. And they said, look, we've been telling you, have a crack, and we're going to suggest you do it. And I said, okay, all right, I'll have a crack. Got nothing else to do at the moment. I was working for myself, and I did it. And I did the so-called Candidates Assessment Board. I seemed to pass that. I thought it would just be a slam dunk. You go along and say, I want to be a Tory MP. They say, good, sign here. And they say, no, it was quite a selection process, Gloria. I passed it. And actually, in fairness, I tried for a few constituencies.
Yeah.
And I got close in a few constituencies, like North Highcombe was one. And, I was about to give up when I got a telephone call from Tony Power, who's the chairman of the Conservatives in Beckenham. He said, we've selected you for down to the last 6 for the Beckenham constituency. And I said, well, thank you very much. Really, really nice. I put the phone down, and I asked my wife, where's Beckenham? But I was there within 2 hours, because, I didn't, but in order to be the MP, I totally agreed. You have to live there. You have to guarantee to be a decent member of Parliament. I hope try that at least. And actually, you have to guarantee to be there for a few terms, not just one and then pack up.
Lots of MPs, by the way, wouldn't be honest enough to say that when they get a nod for a seat that they don't know what it is. So I don't think there's anything unique in what you have said there, just your honesty in expressing it. Right, okay. Lots of people say that you're not very politically correct.
Politically correct?
You're not politically correct.
Bloody hope not.
In 2016, you apologised to a female journalist for calling her Totty. Do you get why you had to apologise?
Yeah, I get why I had to apologise. But to be honest, I felt quite hurt at the moment because I wasn't trying to be rude. It was my generation, and I was actually thought she was a great girl. Not allowed to use the word girl anymore.
Woman.
Woman, okay? Girl, woman. It just shows. But I felt quite hurt that people would think... and my wife actually spoke to the journalist in question and said, you got that wrong. My husband would never be rude to a woman in his life. Never. And, you broadcast that, you made him look a bit of a twit, and he isn't.
In recent years, there have been lots of diversity courses in Parliament. I think the political parties have some. Well, I know the Labour Party does, the Tory Party may do as well. I know the parliamentary authorities have sort of awareness courses, valuing everyone. Have you been on one?
Yeah, I've been on one. I felt it was a bit of a waste of time, to be honest. I mean, I've commanded 900 people in war, men and women. I've felt that I do actually know how to talk to people, how to motivate them, and how to be decent with them. And I've never, ever felt that I've honestly upset someone by political incorrectness. So I didn't feel that it was necessary, but I did it because I was asked to do it. Actually, I wasn't asked. They pleaded with me to do it.
Who's they?
Well, it was Jacob Rees-Mogg, actually. He said, for goodness sake, Bob, please do it. Just shut up and do it. I did it.
And you did. Are you at home in the modern world, Colonel
Yeah,
Bob Stewart?
I love the modern world. My worry is that it's, I'm in my 70s, so I might not be in the modern world for very much longer. I hope I will, but, of course I'm at home in the modern world. I enjoy life. I particularly enjoy being in Parliament. I particularly enjoy people thinking that maybe he isn't quite just a plastic MP, that actually does have feelings. He has got a backstory. He does actually say it as it is. But for the most part, I play the game. I sometimes vote with a long spoon, dining with a long spoon, and actually I enjoy representing Beckenham, which is now my home and will be probably till I drop dead. I enjoy that. I particularly enjoy meeting people. Some people don't like that. I do. For example, this weekend I've been at 2 ward events. I enjoy those as much as anything else. I enjoy speaking in the House of Commons, and I enjoy being at ward events. And I enjoy the privilege of being a Member of Parliament.
Colonel Bob Stewart, it's been a privilege to listen to you. Thank you for your time.